Hi everyone, this is Isis Asari. It's a new year, so we're trying new things. And one of those new things is Wind Down Wednesdays. So today we'll be going live with I'm trying to do this. Oh, hey, okay, great. Tim Felder, let me send the request to have him go live. Hey Tim, so you should have just gotten the request to go live. And then also, let me see if Erika Hardison is here. Okay, so I've also invited Erika. My phone is doing all kind of things. Yay, I'm glad you just found out about Erika. Hey, my phone is doing all kind of things. Oh wait, are you also watching on your laptop?
I just turned it off.
Okay, I was like, I hear myself twice.
No, it's because I was being an idiot. You're good.
No,
How you
no.
doing?
I'm good. How are you?
It's a pleasure to finally meet you in the Insta person.
And yes, Insta person. We'll go with that. It's good to meet you as well. I was rereading Infinitum.
Oh my goodness. Oh, whoa. What are those things? Oh no, you're gonna hit me with that many questions today?
No. I mean, like,
She's got a, ladies and gentlemen, she's got a whole book of questions.
I'm like my favorite graphic
that.
novels. But they're not all questions. Some are like observations. Some are things that I want to read. I always forget to like include like the product tag when I start. So anyway, I just want to let everybody know you can buy Infinitum at sisterscifi.com or on our Instagram store. Just navigate to the store. Okay, now that I've done that, yeah, I'm so excited that you're here. I literally I reread it again like the hour before. I was like, let me make sure everything. So let me check the time. Yes, it's 5:01. I could do the standard introduction, but when I was rereading it, I love like this introduction. The birth of an OG, right? So I was like, I gotta read this during the live if that's okay with you.
Go for it.
Okay. Greetings, Diesel Funketeers. I was with my brother a few years back setting up my career retrospective exhibition, Black Metropolis 30 Years of Afrofuturism, Comics, Music, Animation, Decapitated Chickens, Heroes, Villains, and Negroes. One of the young curators excitedly sorted the stacks of works to be mounted on the wall. As she got deeper into the pile, she suddenly blurted out, "Oh my God, you're like a kind of OG Afrofuturist." Bro and I stopped and looked at the curator's realization. Sensing the unintended levity of the situation, I replied, "Hey man, did she just call me old?" The curator was horrified at the notion of the unintentional slight. But before she could apologize, I chuckled and stopped her mid-sentence. Yes, I'm an OG Afrofuturist.
Right.
So there's more. There's one more paragraph, but I'll stop there. So what does that mean to you, Tim, to be an OG Afrofuturist?
I've been doing this a long time.
Which is, you don't look a day over 25.
That's because I'm bald, and if I cover my gray beard, maybe I can look like I can pass for 25. But no, I've been doing this. I started doing comics when I was like 5.
Okay.
I was drawing earlier.
Yeah, that's why it's a long time. Because when you started
but
your
then the Afrofuturist element hit when I was about 12 or 13. Because my oldest brother came home from college, and at Howard University, everything, Black Power, and he just lit into me one day when I had drawn this white character, thinking that the character was cool. It was like this Jedi swordsman that I called the Master. He was like, look what you're writing. You've drawn a white character called the Master. And I was like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize what I had done because I was just thinking Star Wars and Sword Master. And I went all the way in, and I have been, like Ọba in Infinitum, saddled with a lifetime of doing Black people in spaceships. That's what I've done. So that is why I'm an OG Afrofuturist. That's why, when she called me that, I was like, yeah, okay, I'm an OG Afrofuturist. Why not?
I've been doing it. I've been doing it since I came out the womb. So yeah, I'm OG about this life.
Well, a little bit after that, but for a pretty long time, yes.
Yeah, so I appreciate that. Let me just check in on Erika, because she's also supposed to join just to make sure she's okay.
Hey, well, Barry, what's up, girl?
Yeah.
And thank you for having me today. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate it.
No, my pleasure. I appreciate, one, I keep saying there's a special place in heaven for Black creatives, especially those that focus on Afrofuturism. So thank you for your work. Thank you for Infinitum. Infinitum. Okay. I have a lot of stuff that I want to dive into, but when you talk to people about Infinitum, what's the one thing that you're like, I hope they caught this?
Well, Infinitum is an interesting story for me. It's like, and I'll just keep it down to its core. I just got tired of Black people dying in science fiction movies, horror movies. We always get killed right before the credits. Like I was just watching this movie earlier today, and it came out last year, right? And there's a Black guy inside this capsule that lands on this planet, on Earth, in the future. And I'm looking at him, and I'm thinking to myself, I give him 10 minutes.
Wait, what movie is this?
I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but he lasted 5 minutes, and I tire of that. I'm not saying that Black people don't die. Clearly, we die all the time, But I wanted to do a story where we'd live. We'd live, good or bad, positive or negative, a good person or a bad person, didn't matter. They were going to live. They would survive any onslaught. It's about not just surviving, you can persevere. And that is what the focal point of Infinitum was. I've said this before in interviews. My editor was one, we had this massive, hey, Erika's on now. We had this massive editing session. She asked me, well, why does the character suffer like that? And I said, the quote in the book is, we are not meant to live forever. Hey, girl, what's up?
Hey, give me 1 second, okay?
The camera's doing something weird, but I know we're adjusting.
It's we are meant.
We're both looking at it the same way.
Right. Yeah. So the thing was, it said we are not meant to live forever. We are meant to rot, to die and rot. If I got the quote right, bringing sustenance to those that follow, and that is really our objective.
And Infinitum brings a different take on living forever. I think as people who read science fiction or fantasy or horror, we used to like vampires where they just live forever, and it's like they do the same thing you always do. They just do it forever, right? And Obinrin, his living for an eternity isn't simply I'm doing the same thing, but for like millennia. Like the character evolves. Tell us about that. As you thought about, he's going to be Black. He's not going to die. He's going to live forever, but he's not just going to just be doing the same thing for like billions of years.
Right. He's not going to wear skin tight leather pants and be sexy for a billion years. He's not going to be the sword master. There can only be one. You know, he's not going to do that. What he's going to do is he's going to experience what a person who, because they can't die, everyone they ever love, they ever meet is going to die. So if he gets a family, they're going to die. And that's so being immortal is really not something that anyone would want, because entire communities, societies, cities, countries, entire planetary regions would essentially fade away into dust, and you would essentially outlive it. That's, I can't think of a more horrible existence than that. Like, I've been told, well, you know, this guy, of course, he does something really terrible that gets him cursed to begin with. And people are like, you know, he's getting away with it. I'm like, no, he's not. He's not getting away with anything. You know what I mean? And he knows it. He knows it fairly early on. That's why he tries to get rid of the curse. And that's what I wanted to show. It's, you know, I'm a scaredy cat. I can't stand to watch horror movies. I never got past season 1 of The Walking Dead because I'm scared by horrible things, right? But I can write about them, and I can create stories about them because I know what scares me and what's horrible. And so that's what I wanted to do with Infinitum. I wanted to show people that is not sexy, but at the same time, at least the way the book looks, I wanted the scale to be epic. You know what I mean? I wanted people to see big battles, big African kingdoms, and women who just like, oh my God, Cicely Tyson with the skin, but she's a queen. You know, I wanted to do it, but then I wanted to show the big spaceships and the freighters. I wanted to be able to go through all of those tropes in the Afrofuturist icon, but I wanted to do it in such a way where I could both entertain, but yet give us, if I could, maybe it's presumptuous of me to say that, to give us that thing, that epic, that feeling. You know what I mean? It's like Kurosawa does samurai films, right? The epic. I wanted to do, what would a massive movie about a guy who lives for 1 billion years, how would that make us feel? And that's what I wanted to do.
Right. And so I have a couple questions are coming up. Oh, I wanted to show examples of what we mean by epic. Right. So these are the panels. So like typically, and I'll show this, like in a regular comic book, this would be like one of several pictures on the page. But in this is like you have this whole image taking up the full page. And I just want to, I'm just grabbing the closest one. It's not like, oh, let's do this one. In comparison to like most comic books, where the
I already have my answer.
Yeah, I'm much more on the picture. No. And it's not a question. I just wanted to, like, when you say epic, this is what we mean. Like the pictures are.
I can explain to you why I did it. One, although I'm a digital painter, to be able to do that amount of work, because everything was rendered, because I didn't want it to look like an anime. I wanted to look like, you know, if Kadir Nelson painted a graphic novel, this is what it would look like, you know. So what I decided was, well, okay, the way I can finish this story, because it had started in I came up with the story back in like 2004, 2005, but the New York Times had brought me on to do a story that was a story that was published in 2016. I appeared in it, but no one knows that I was supposed to have done visuals for that story. But one of the ideas I pitched to them was the old story I had come up with called Infinitum. And they passed on it because obviously Black Man is the Immortal God, probably wasn't their thing. But I went back to it. And I knew in order to finish this, I can't have 11 panels on a page. It'll take me forever to finish it. But I knew I didn't want to just do quick black and white sketches, even though that's relevant. I didn't want to do that. I knew every painting, every page had to look like a painting.
Yeah. Like
You
art.
need to look at it and feel like, okay, this guy hurt himself on it. And trust me, I did. I won't go into the physical ailments that happened after that. But it had to be that, because this book costs what? $25, $22? I don't know what it costs. You have fluctuating prices. If I'm going to...
I looked at the back of the book jacket, $27.99.
If I'm going to ask you to buy a book like that, then to pay respect to the audience, I need you to feel like I have something that I have, and I'll put it on my coffee table. But it has to bring that not only in the visual narrative, it has to bring it in the written narrative as well. So that's why Infinitum looks the way it does.
Yeah.
Hey,
Awesome.
Sam.
Hey, what's up, girl?
I was going to jump in real quick and say I actually remembered when before the world shut down, when we did our last in-person panel at the Black Comic Book Fest, you talked about the physical agonies that you went through just putting the book together, the long nights of not sleeping, the carpal tunnel, you know, really pushing yourself to the max. It was kind of like exercise in a way, or like weightlifting or something, putting those pages together every day, all night to meet those deadlines.
Thank you, Erika, for your description. I'm having a flashback now. Don't do that. Thank you.
Sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, she's right. She's right. It hurt, and I'm actually sitting in what's called a freedom chair now, which is like everything I have is ergonomic. You know, a lot of my process is automated now, and in the upcoming Carnegie Hall Afrofuturism Festival, I have one day I think per week for a while, where during the festival where I do live art, and I'll be showing my process to where I'm now employing the use of a game engine and how I do my work. You have to be automated. You have to. I've been doing 3D animation. I'm a horrible animator, by the way. Pretty good modeler, very good modeler. So when you look at Infinitum, there are some elements that are actually built in 3D because it's easier to do, right? But you have to, for me, I find that it's painful, but I have to engage innovation to be able to keep up with the work. And I'm never going to do another book like Infinitum again. I might do a book that looks like Infinitum, but I'm never going to go through that pain again.
The process of it. Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, awesome. So I just want to pause and ask two questions of the people who are watching. So one, in the chat, if you could drop in, what would you do if you lived forever? And I'll ask these questions at the same time. Can we get into spoilers? Because I know even if you like have an idea, details of what happens in the book, you're still going to buy the book anyway. So I just want to make sure y'all are okay with spoilers, because I want to ask all the questions. So first question, what would you do if you lived forever? And two, how okay is everyone with spoilers?
What's that second part? What was that second one?
Is everyone okay with spoilers?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know, we see a lot of we see more epic fantasy in science fiction, especially within Afrofuturism realm. You know, we read about a lot of more epic fiction and high fantasy, but we don't really get that in graphic novel form a lot, right? You know, we'll get Afrofuturism where it's more of a high-tech aesthetic, cyberpunk, but we don't really get, like, you know, I guess just for comparison reasons, like a Lord of the Rings type of epic graphic novel and created with through the lens of Blackness. We don't really get that. So it's really cool to see high fantasy in graphic novel form.
Yeah. So Erika, I'm going to give you permission if you are okay with it. I told you a secret about infinitum. You know what I'm talking about?
No, but if I got to give you permission, that makes me scared.
Well, no, I'll give you permission. Hold on, let me just type it to you here, so I don't get. I don't give it away. I'm gonna let you do it. I'm gonna let you do it. Hang on, hold on. Whoa, my eyes are horrible. I used to have great eyes, by the way. If you look at a computer screen too long, if your eyes really become jacked up, just let you know.
Oh,
Which is
absolutely.
good. Eyes. Go ahead. What'd you say, Erica?
I was gonna say I have astigmatism because I'm always looking at a computer. But you know what I read that was really interesting? If you have astigmatism and you go to space and come back, your astigmatism will disappear because the difference of the gravity and the readjustment. I'm so serious. I read it in the New York Times. It will readjust, so you won't have astigmatism anymore. If you're nearsighted, it's a good thing to go to space.
Did you see the text?
Because that makes me think that my health insurance plan should pay for space trip to fix my astigmatism. I was born this way. That's my justification. Y'all need to pay for me to go to outer space. Okay, so the couple of responses that I got were okay with spoilers, so we can go in deep. And we got some answers for what people would live, what they would do if they could live forever. But I had a really good response. I would meet and hang out with my ancestors. Imagine that, like you can hang out with your great granddaughter and be like, yes, I remember when I was trying to do this. You were literally my dreams. Like, you see the quotes, you were the wildest dreams of your ancestors. You can tell that to your descendants, like, actually. So I also want to people said they were okay with spoilers. So this is kind of like the start of the curse. You have you have Ọba. He takes the son of his concubine, and his concubine is like, we ain't playing those reindeer games. You're cursed. And I love looking at this image. It almost feels like you're watching a movie, like just like the emotion and the drama. You can literally feel the magic coming out of our fingertips. How did you start with, this is how his immortality is going to begin, or were you like, he's going to be immortal? How am I going to make that happen?
It is the worst thing in the world to have your child taken away from you. That's terrible. It's terrible. And it's even worse to take a child from a parent who gives a damn. You know what I mean? So I believe people who do that are ultimately cursed. They're cursed because it's like you're removing, they're in which one is the parable of the sower? That's a good example. It's like the main character, Lauren, eventually has a daughter. And that daughter is taken from her by her brother and raised as his own, thus absolutely guaranteeing estrangement when the girl is older. That man was cursed because of that. So I Infinitum to me is I gotta be careful with paying homages. You know what I mean? But I wanted to do a book because it would cover so many different aspects of my personal life, of my family and friends and their personal lives, because I wanted to make something that was familiar to readers. That's absolutely the start of the curse, because that's the worst thing you could do. That's almost worse than death, really. Some people would say it is worse than death. Yeah.
Yeah, that's powerful. Erika, I'll pause there. Did you have a question for Tim?
Not a question, but more a statement. I really love that in so many ways, you're dedicating this graphic novel to Octavia Butler. I think that's really beautiful.
Well, I only talked with her once in life for about 2 hours. I was in Portland, Oregon, 1992 basketball tournament of the Americas. And I was in a hotel because I was there to see the Dream Team play. And she lived in Seattle at the time. And here I was, you know, had been getting put in contact with her because at the time there was a documentary being made called Black Sci-Fi. And you can see clips of it online with Chip Delaney, Octavia Butler, Stephen Barnes, Mike Sargent, Nichelle Nichols, were myself and Floyd Hughes, who's a Black Brit cartoonist based in Brooklyn. We were the visual Afrofuturists that they picked for that documentary, and we were cut out of the documentary. So, hey, you know, it sucked, and it still sucks to this day, but that is what happened. But when I talked with Octavia so much, this was 92, roughly 92, so much of what was in her books was in her actual lifestyle. Yeah, that's what I felt. I mean, of course, I there's no way I didn't know her well at all. I didn't know her, you know. But that one conversation, I'm sorry.
A 2-hour conversation is an in-depth conversation. That's more like I grab coffee with somebody. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, this was like 2 hours, and she broke some stuff down to me, you know. And the thing, if there's anything I remember about her, she designed her life to do what she wanted to do. For sure.
That's powerful. That's so powerful. So another thing that I loved watching is, or reading, is, so this is where John has traveled throughout South America, and he's connected with a community of Maroons. And what I loved when I got to this page is like, oh, look, the leader of the Maroons. There's a woman. Hopefully I read that page right. But yes. So this is the leader of the Maroons. And so that was really exciting for me to watch, to read. I keep saying watch. To read as experiencing the book. How did you make that decision? Is she based on a historical figure?
I'm going to keep it real. So initially that was not in Infinitum. That 4-page sequence was not in Infinitum. He you know, does this really bad thing to his master. I enjoyed drawing that scene quite a bit. And then he leaves. You know what I mean? I hope everybody like,
whoa.
Like, oh, you know, it's like they enjoyed that scene. And most people enjoy that scene. It's like, you know, but after that, he leaves and he goes to, he leaves, right? And that scene came about because I guess it was in 2018, I had gone to Ohio State. I was doing Jeff Smith's CXC conference. And one of my good friends, Isis Costa, is there. And she was involved with the Latino Studies Department at Ohio State. And I met the Latino students. And I showed them Infinitum. She had me make a presentation, and I went through the whole thing. But at that time, it was only in black and white sketches. And I'll never forget, I finished the story, you know, and about 10 of them came up to me and said, hey, how you doing? I was like, hey, what's happening, guys? What's going on? They were like, yeah, so we've been thinking we need more Latino representation in Infinitum. And, you know, at that point, the book was like 240 pages, and I was already exhausted. And I was like, guys, I hear you, but no, I you know, the story's pretty much done. You know, but I appreciate your suggestions, but no. And then they looked at me again, and the guy said, we want more Latino representation in the book. And I went, well, you know, guys, and it did hit me like a bolt. I went, oh. And I said, I think I might have a way for that to work. This was on a Friday. I spent the day at the convention on a Saturday, and on Sunday I had come up with that sequence, and I emailed it to Isis and told her, tell those students I came up with it. And that's how it, do you know what I mean? If you're going to be a creator, that's how you want to create, because you can't see and do everything. You need people to kind of tell you, hopefully, you know, in a way where you don't lose your brain, you know, but
Right.
you want to be able to try to make something better, if that makes sense. And that's what they did. And I'm so grateful that they spoke to me and convinced me to do it, because I'm a visual person, obviously. But if you tell me the word, if you say the word dog or you bark like a dog, my brain automatically sees something in its head. So when they came up to me and said, hey, we need you to do this, you know, as soon as they said it, my brain was off to like, yeah, we're going to do this sequence. And boom, that was it. It came up immediately.
I love that. So was Jason Jose Diaz's character already in there when they asked for more Latino representation?
Yeah, he was already in. He was already in. I was thinking that was enough representation. Like, no, it wasn't. It wasn't, you know. And also that character, because at that time, we're doing spoilers here, right?
Yes, they said
Yeah.
spoilers. Okay.
Right. So at that time, you know, John, who was his known at that time, enters into a same-sex relationship. Now, some people go like, yo, man, why are you doing that? You're bringing a black man down. I'm like, this dude has been alive for 150,000 years at that point. Don't you think it's okay if he does it at least once? You know, be quiet, have a seat, you know?
So I did have that as a question.
Really?
Yeah, because I was like, I am going, and Erika, I'll pause there. Let me know if you have questions. Good. Usually, like somebody's on, and you can kind of see on their face if they're about to ask questions. So Erika, just hop in whenever. But I was like, I tagged it, so let me pull it up, because at this point, John is like been in maybe 4 or 5 life partnerships, right? And you're like, okay, I see his rhythm, and then you see this panel. And you're like, oh, and no, let me say, I'm like, oh, that woman has really short hair. And I'm like, no, I'm like, oh, okay, I see Tim is like gonna make John bisexual. And I just thought that was really, I thought it was really powerful to have a Black male creator have his central protagonist enter into a same-sex relationship. So tell me about what was that process for, and educate me. So
Chip Delaney is a gay man. We would not be doing what we're doing at this time without him, even if he sometimes disagrees with that. But he's a gay man, and I wanted to show respect to that. My godmother, who essentially, Myrna Bain, passed away in 2007, was a gay woman. She was lesbian. She formed in many ways the way I viewed the world. I want to pay respect to that woman. One of my children is pansexual, right? I love him. We'll run through a wall for him. And so I, as a parent, was going to show someone in my book that was representative of him. That's the answer.
love it. I'm here for it. I'm pausing to see if Erika wants to hop in. I don't want to dominate the questions.
I'm soaking that all in because, you know, I feel that, you know, you have a legacy in the scope of Afrofuturism and the genre itself, and you're respected by so many people. And to see you still pay it forward is really encouraging and beautiful. And I wish, you know, we would see more of it, but it's very genuine. And I think, you know, that type of honesty and transparency is very much seen in your art. Is clear. Like, your art is very, you know, a breath of fresh air, and it's emotional. It's, it's something like seeing a reflection of yourself.
Yeah. Everybody, it's hard to do because you want to spread things around. But our world is people call it polarized, but come on, let's be frank. Slavery was more polarized. That was more polarized period in our time. And even then, we're just talking about the American, the West primarily. But I think so much of what I'm trying to do, I can't really speak for other artists. I can only speak for myself, is to try to be expansive. But also, and I have to say this, to also be entertaining. Like, I'm not just trying to bore you with factoids. Not that I'm the master of factoids, I have to add that part, but I want you to feel like you're seeing something that is both entertaining, enjoyable, and expansive. That's what I'm trying to do.
Definitely. And that's what I took away from it. Just speaking of homages, I loved when I got to this panel. I was like, oh, yay! So, did you have to get rights to include this image? Okay.
No, it's just a drawing of her.
Okay.
But I've met her before. I've drawn her before. And if I can pull this open here, where is it? Da-da-da-da. Hold on one second. This is old Maddie's Rocket, back in the floppy days. She signed my copy of Maddie's Rocket. Yes.
I want to say something. Can I just say, when I think of Maddie's Rocket, especially now, I think of that scene in Lovecraft Country, and I'm like, Tim was giving us this years ago.
Yeah, but I'm gonna say this. And I appreciate you saying that, Erika. I really do. There's so much room. We barely scratched the surface. And Lovecraft Country is the thing for me that made it, like, whoa, was that they tried to do everything. And that's what that was. So I was quite fascinated about that.
Yeah. So my next question is, so we're in the scene that I'm about to talk about, we're several centuries into the future, and we're looking at like how John is sometimes stepping into society as this multi-rich tech billionaire, and sometimes steps out. And then in this panel is sometimes during extreme market instability, John engaged in cathartic stints of vigilantism, serial killer strategies. Just I'm going through that just in case there are triggers for anybody. He hunted them all down, right? So tell me about this panel. I just finished watching Dexter New Blood. So yeah, tell me about the significance for you of that panel.
Well, I mean, it's just part of the narrative where the main character is sort of he's trapped in this loop where he can't die. So how does he find meaning? And he finds meaning for a period of being a vigilante. He could oh, this person is doing something wrong. Well, he didn't have to worry about dying necessarily, so he just kills him. Now, that's terrible, but it's what happens. It's like John is not a nice person all the time. You know what I mean? And also, there are a few people who, I'm sure folks would think what's the kid who was at the march with the AR-15? I was like, it's kind of like, feels like he got away with it, didn't he? He just shot people, and that was it. So this is like a Jack Reacher book. You know, I remember the writer of the Jack Reacher novel saying that in his universe, Jack Reacher can right the wrong. So I wanted to have that in there. There's so many different things I'm playing off in this book, and the kind of, you know, thrillers, that's part of it as well.
Makes perfect sense. This is probably my favorite panel in the whole graphic novel. And so
Yes.
yeah. So, and to give context, so we've discovered that there's life on other planets, we being humanity, Earthlings. Although different planets have been discovered, no one truly expected to reach them within several lifetimes. Yet, due to frenzied consumption of open source content via global VR net, even the most formidable concepts became easily accessible for further enhancements. No one expected a teenage South African girl to conceive and test complex equation to make faster than light travel possible and replicable in her backyard. So I'm just like, oh, look at, oh, girl, probably in Soweto, like, boom, I did this. So that just made me really happy.
Yeah, I put that in there because Afrofuturism is not American. Afrofuturism is global. Now, you have different types of Afrofuturism. You have some Afrofuturism that is indicative of the continent, but then you got multiple countries in the continent, and I'm sure Nigerian Afrofuturism is different than South African Afrofuturism, right? It's just the ability of people of color to see themselves in the future while living in the present and looking at their past. That's all it is, right? And what I wanted to do was to show that little girls can be geniuses too, but they don't have to be American. They could be South African. And you know what? She doesn't have to live in she can live in a shanty town, right? And she could make her mom angry because she's using up all the power and she's blowing up a circuit or something like that. But she's created this fabulous thing. And that's a bit of humor, but it's also a bit of why not?
And I think that's the great ending, why not? And that's why we have science fiction, and that's why we have Afrofuturism, to say why not? And to have a picture like this could actually happen, right? That fundamental technology that allows us to travel light years could come from the brain of this South African little girl. So I loved it. That made me feel happy.
Super, super sidebar. So there's a YouTube channel. There's a YouTube series called Super Sima. And Super Sima is a children's animated show. And it kind of operates off the same premise you just said, Tim. It's a little girl. She's in Africa. And she's like the smartest person. And the evil bad guy, I guess, whatever, he always antagonizing them. His name is Tabor, which is robot backwards. And she makes these things little gadgets and stuff to beat him and save her village.
Wow. That's we need that. We need so much of it. We just barely scratching the surface of that. When I have grandchildren or great grandchildren, I want them to be just starting to get bored with that genre. But right now we got another 60, 70 years of that before we even really scratch the surface.
Agreed. And then the crazy thing is that science fiction 100 years ago becomes today's reality. So then today's science fiction becomes, reality for 100 years from now. So I really think writers in that science fiction space are really creating everybody's future. So imagining everybody's future. I loved the new planet being called Nalo 4.
Yes. I wonder where that name comes from.
Right. I was like, wait, where did this name come from? So My guess is it after Nalo Hopkinson?
Obviously, it's after Nalo. Nalo is a sweetheart. She's been incredibly supportive over the years. I still got to send her a book. Nalo, don't worry, it's coming. It's coming. I just been like so much other stuff going on with this Carnegie Festival, but Nalo Hopkinson, in my estimation, is the heir apparent to Octavia, to me. She has gravitas. She has grit. She can write her butt off, and it is this oddest process of how she writes comics, and has, at least on one occasion, given me potentially career-saving advice, particularly as I've entered into this, formal Big Five graphic novel space, or graphic novel space. I don't know what we call it. I guess we'll find all that out in the next few weeks. But yeah, Nalo has been a great source of inspiration, and she's a damn good writer, and is a grandmaster.
100% agree with all that. I think we try to, Sistah Scifi, carry everything that Nala has published. Sometimes it's hard to get it in stock. So from Midnight Robber is one of my favorites by her. So I was like, is this the connection? Am I reading this right? So I'm glad to know that I made that connection.
Yes, that's named after Nalo. I named a planet after Nalo Hopkinson. And Yavin 4. You got Yavin 4, Nalo 4. You got it?
Nice. I'm here for it.
I had to put some Star Wars in there. Come on.
I'm here for it. Erika?
Yes.
Oh, Erika, I'm pausing. Like, if you have a question now, you can jump in if you feel like it.
Okay, y'all gonna hate me. I don't really like Star Wars.
Okay.
I like Star Trek more.
I'm not good. I have a secret. I can't say it in public like this, but so I don't hate you for not like.
Well, I will say Star Wars, which I grew up drawing Star Wars. I grew up, I love Star Wars. I was that idiot who, when they used to have the LPs where they would have not the music, but the audio of the movie. I was the idiot who memorized both sides of it.
Aww.
The sound effects ended up. Yeah, you might say that, but when I was growing up across the street from that cotton field, they made horrible fun of me. So it was terrible. Oh yeah, but you did that. Well, okay, yeah, that's pretty bad, Barry. Anyway, I was trying to let Barry off the hook, but I'm like, yeah, we were nerds, okay? We memorized the Star Wars. We memorized it. We memorized everybody's lines and the sound effects. But Star Wars, it's Star Wars. You're always going to allow it when it's at its best and when it's at its worst.
Agreed.
I loved when Luke Skywalker came back on The Mandalorian. I have to admit that brought tears. I was sobbing like a baby.
Aww.
Because it pulled that thing. It was like, that's Luke, man. That's Luke, not the guy drunk and drinking the blue milk.
Yeah. So we have 13 minutes, which is still a good amount of time. So for me, so you start off, he's cursed, he's living forever, he has a family, they die, he lives, he's sad. I was like, oh, this is painful. But for me, there's a realization where
Yes.
the person says perhaps he was a god, right? And so he's like, I'm not completely full of myself. I don't think I'm the God, but I am a God. And so to me, that was really powerful because it allowed for me as a reader to sit with like, this character has tapped into his inner divinity, which I thought was super powerful, right? And then kind of tap into, because earlier in panels we have him meditating, but like several panels forward, like the body is just a distraction. So now that he's realized his divinity and the power of his meditation, he actually, what I've interpreted, meditates peace, enters interspecies peace on the planet. How did you intend for the reader? Because to me, those were like, in terms of like realizing the potential of your life and your spirit, and also the potential of like a life that spans billions of years, that sounded really powerful to me as a reader. So how did you write it?
Yeah, I felt like, you know, yeah, he realized his divinity, but he also realized his vanity at the same time. John is not some kind of, yeah, he has God-like powers, but he's not God. You know, yeah, he creates this society where it's interspecies harmony, but only by threat. You know, by punishment. He is immortal, but he is flawed, like the rest of us. I did not want to create a story where the main character becomes some kind of Paul Atreides kind of, you know, no. This guy is flawed. He's flawed. He wants to be loved. He's lonely, but he's also totally exasperated by having to manage the affairs of humans, you know, and he appointed himself to manage the affairs of humans. You know, that's I think the idea with Infinitum was to ultimately get the story to such a point where it moved beyond race.
And I love that, like, that, I don't know, that in Infinitum, there was, this is what technology could look like in the future if you extrapolate it. But this is how we could interact as people. Like, there was potential in that regard too.
Yes. I think, you know, I don't know if I succeeded, but I'm going to say this one thing, and I'm saying it because I love saying it. Don't take it personal.
Okay.
So this review came out last weekend, right? And the review was great. But it said, let me see if I can remember the words. It said, and I'm paraphrasing here, it said, although the story deals with time and space, Fielder's the story essentially puts Fielder alongside Afrofuturist titans such as Samuel R. Delany and Octavia Butler. Now, I'm not saying that that made me feel so good. And it's because, hey, for full disclosure, I produce tons of crap all the time. But for this one, I put my heart and soul in it, and it was so nice and validating to get that acknowledgement from someone. You know, it was really, really meant a lot to me. You know what I mean? You know, everybody wants to hit that you want to hit that spot. That was a nice spot to hit. It was.
Agreed. Yeah, and I mean, like, and I think you deserve those accolades. So yes.
Won't say, and I was telling Erika this earlier today. Won't say I deserved it, but I sure as what earned it. So that's what it was for me. You know, sometimes earning is enough. You know, I don't know if I deserve everything I get, but I try my best to earn it.
I'm here for that.
I have to ask you,
me or
you.
Okay.
I have to ask you, Tim. Sorry.
Okay. All right.
What was your inspiration about magic? Like, how do you build magic in a world that makes sense to you and makes sense to the reader? And what type of research or influences did you use to create the magic?
Well, magic is all about plausibility, isn't it? It's about plausibility, the ability to get your audience to suspend belief. And if you can do that, then you can bring magic, right? Because what is magic? Magic is a technology. Just like electricity being funneled through circuits is a technology. Just as blood moving through the body, that's a technology. It's just about biotechnology, right? So technology is essentially a means. A means. That's all it is. And so when you bring in magic, you bring in sorcery, you bring in alchemy, you bring in, space opera, or you bring in interpersonal relationships. If you try your best as a writer, and this is for the writers out there, if you try your best to embed plausibility in the narrative, then it'll always be your North Star. It'll always lead you to where you need to go. Plausibility. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So I have a question, but as I tee this question up, I also want it for people watching, if you have a question, just drop them in. Oh my God, there's all these comments, but it wasn't scrolling. I was wondering, I was like, whoa. If you have a question, now's the time to drop them in the comments. Sorry, I wasn't seeing the comments. And I'll ask the question to Tim before we leave. So in this panel, we see so this has been like a billion years. We see Obinrin. Where has she been the whole time?
Okay. Erika, did you see my text?
Yeah, I think you should let everybody know.
Okay, go ahead. You let them know. You can go ahead. You can let them know.
No, I want you to let them know.
Okay, that's a sequel. There's a sequel.
Oh, okay. I'm here for it.
Yeah, I didn't want to ruin the surprise.
Yeah, I don't mind because it's like, it'll be another 5 years before I get to it. But yeah, there's a sequel.
5 years happens really quickly in COVID time. So
and when you're 55 years old, 5 years happens like really fast. So I gotta do a bunch of other books, including that sequel.
Yeah, okay. And we're gonna figure out where she was. Or we're gonna know.
It doesn't matter. I got y'all covered. Relax. Y'all good. Okay. See, I already told you the secret. Now you want more information?
I did have tunnel vision. But yes, I'm excited for the sequel. And then also, I don't see any questions. I was so excited to read Oba / John apologize. Just to see that emotional and psychological growth, even without a therapist. I was like, look at this growth. I'm proud of him. So, or that's how I read it. Maybe that's not how you intended it.
No, when you go through what the character is, the arc, right? And sometimes you'll do a story where a character unlearns. They become worse. But this character's lived through everything. And by that point, his whole thing is, it's like, why are you holding on to that? Here she comes. He wasn't surprised when she comes up at that point. I made that, he was like, oh, there she is. Of course, she would be there. And it's that, I did this horrible thing to you. Horrible thing, And of course, for her, it's like, we're not meant to live forever, because at that point, she has her own path.
Right.
That she goes through, which I didn't show.
Awesome. Yay. Again, I enjoyed it so much. Thank you for your craft. Thank you for, I'll call it a labor of love that you gifted us. Yeah. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I feel so honored that I got to discuss it with you. I could be missing them, but I don't see any additional questions in the chat. So if you
can I say one thing?
Yes.
So Sistah Scifi and I are going to be at the Carnegie Hall Afrofuturism Festival.
Yay!
During the festival, yes. I am a feature player in the Carnegie Hall Afrofuturism Festival. We got some things we're still working out, but Black Metropolis, my career retrospective show, goes up live February 1st all the way to March 31st at the Children's Arts Carnival in Harlem, New York. And of course, I'll be broadcasting a bunch of different things virtually as well.
Yes. So
That's
look
pretty
out.
good. I rehearsed it. I said, you got to tell it in
that
10
was
seconds.
perfect. So
The Carnegie Expo is from February 1st until March 1st.
March 31st.
March 31st.
8
Sorry.
weeks of Afrofuturism.
yes. And if you're on the Sistah Sci-Fi email list, I'll be emailing out details as soon as I have them. I think they should be coming out in the next week or so.
Yeah, next week.
Yes, next week.
I've seen it. Don't worry, you there. You looking real good.
I'm
Yeah,
so
you
excited.
You in there.
So yeah, so if you're not on the Sistah Sci-Fi email list, join to get the details, or you'll see stuff on social media. Just follow the hashtag, or visit Carnegie Hall's site or Tim's social media. But yeah, we will make sure you know all the things.
Also, Tim is going to be at the Black Comic Fest this weekend at the Schomburg, which is also virtual and free and online. What day is your panel?
Yeah.
I will be doing a panel on Friday, which I got my time mixed up with this time. I was supposed to be in a tech rehearsal, but I've done this enough times. I think I'll be okay. With Julian Chambliss, Dr. Julian Chambliss, discussing Afrofuturism, the history of Afrofuturism. Ronaldo Anderson, John Jennings, and Yatasha Woback will be on that.
Yes.
And then Saturday, I'm going to be doing my thing, how to draw Black superheroes, which they always bring me in at the Schomburg to do that because I can hold the kids' attention for about an hour. So it gives the parents a break.
Right. No, I'm here for it. Yay. This was such a pleasure and an honor. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Erika. Thank you for everybody who's watching.
Hey, Eliane, what's up, girl?
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I could do that.
Can you hear us?
I'm not that good.
Dick Williams from Memphis, Tennessee. He was a magician. Take care now.
Practice.
Bye-bye.